I'm Brody Eastwood. This is a top 32 deck profile for Garurumon Aggro for the February 25th, 2024 Ultimate Cup. Let's get started. We're a deck that likes swinging with 6Ks with big stacks. Bukamon. It's getting limited for a reason. It's honestly the biggest hit to this deck of the three. Mental training. I'm going to bring up interactions later, but realistically, you already know why this is here. Matt. This card's crazy. I'll get into why he's so crazy later, but at base, the fact that he searches a guy in a deck that if it finds its pieces, it wins, and it's pretty much just a memory every turn, that's really good. Our X Antibodies, this is mostly here for the Omnimon X interaction. I've found myself needing that a lot less in this event than I did back in EX5 form. Proto form is the real, this is a real star. It does a ton. The cheaper WereGarurumon X's, they just cheaper going into things in general is really strong. The one memory Garurumon X's, and the most important thing is that it lets you play more aggressively. It lets you play a lot looser with some of your resources because it lets you have a guaranteed way to take them back so that you can keep using them so that you can keep the pressure up. It going into security, whatever. You're supposed to be killing the opponent before they do anything. Then we've got the Gabumon lineup. We've got the one that's about to get limited for good reason. It finds all your pieces. It's great. The battle protection's really useful. We've got EX1 Gabu. It keeps you in Gabus, you don't run out, but more importantly, it's like the only thing that searches Matt, and you really want Matt. Matt's really good. There's also an interaction I'll get to when we get to EX1 Garuru, and this Gabumon, he always triggers your Mats when he pushes up. He's probably the best one to warp on top of, and he draws you one at start of turn. Really strong. The blocker comes up rarely, but it does come up. And the draw one on inherit is very strong. Then we've got our Garurumon lineup. We've got 3 EX1, 3 BT15, and 4 Garuru X. This one is probably getting replaced with P-007 when not having once per turn on your when attacking inherit isn't dangerous. I just figured that would be moderately suicidal against a Pokemon, but other than that, you don't want to be waiting around for him to get your mats out. Like, if you can pass turn by playing Mat on turn 1, do it. Don't wait around for him. What are you going to do? Digivolve into him? Now you still don't have your Mat. But the draw one when Digivolving is still really nice, especially because it triggers the Mat. This one, this is the real star of the Garurumon lineup. Well, except him, but he's getting limited for a reason. This one, when you attack with him under, you play a Mat for free. Just, if you have a Mat, he's on the field now. And either one of the Gabus, they can either draw you into a Mat, search a Mat to set this up, or if you already have a Mat, they can trigger it by searching a Mat or trigger it by drawing a card. So when you attack with this guy under, he often says search a card, gain a memory, which is ridiculous. WereGarurumon lineup, we've got 2 BT7, one of the limited one. I don't need to tell you why the limited one's nuts. It's even more nuts with the new MetalGarurumon, just because that one can attack so many times. The BT7 one, I know, is a relatively spicy choice. The on-play doesn't matter. You're not doing that. The only time you would ever do that is if you could put the opponent to 2, and now they have to either kill it or accept that you're going to blast into them, but that isn't a thing that happens. But the real important part is the inherit. It just extends your plays a little bit. If this could be 3 copies of this, it would be, but he's the second best option. Not because he's the second best WereGarurumon. That's obviously the purple starter deck one. The reason is because you want to be using your mental trainings on WereGarurumon. It's just the best place to do it, because you want to be putting your Garurumons in the back, so you can't mental training into them. You will sometimes mental training into metal, but often to keep turn, you need to be doing it into Were. And you can do that to him. You can't do that on the purple one, and that is enough of a benefit that I think this one's better. The 1 to 2 on these, 1, because it comes up, you need to be able to bounce a thing or Digivolve for 0 without Proto Form. And this one, if you have Proto Form, it's still 0. If you have Proto Form in this guy, it's -1. If you have this guy, it's 0, basically. And he lets you get another attack, basically. That's what matters about him. The taking a thing back from trash is also really useful. Lets you be a bit more loose with your resources, because early on, if you know you have access to him, you can pitch a high-level thing and just take it back right before you need it. And then our MetalGarurumon lineup is 2 aces, 2 of the new one, and 2 Metal X. BT9 specifically, I was building around Apocalypse, so I figured the memory loss from EX5 just didn't matter. This is here because it has to be, right? It's just such a ridiculous card. It lets you steal turn. It lets you keep going up the stack even when you're out of memory. It just does so much for you. It can be a liability for sure, but it just does too much to not be here. This guy is ridiculous. So if you're against something purple, they have to delete him 3 times for him to stay deleted. If you're against something red, they have to delete him 3 times for him to stay deleted. If you're against something yellow, they have to delete him once. He can stun tamers, which, like, you can get rid of Digimon in anything, really. But the fact that you can stun tamers tells decks like Red Hybrid, no. And moreover, because they have to delete him 3 times, they can't even do anything about him while their tamers are stunned. They just have to leave him there. And if you can start your turn with this guy, you probably just win, because with this tucked under, you have 3 checks by itself, and then, like, if that's not enough to kill in this deck, I don't know what's happening. Then MetalGarurumon X, it's there because it's ridiculous. It bounces just an obscene amount of things. It unsuspends for 1 memory, 0 with Proto Form. It gets Blocker, which comes up sometimes, but not really. It does so much. We have our Omnimon lineup. Blitz Omni, because Blitz Omni for game. Omnimon X, because you have X Antibody under a thing. You swing, he comes out, trash of security. Oh, hey, they're dead. Cool. Merciful mode is there for Apocalypse. It's also there for anything else with on deletions. Last, and definitely least, into Psychemon, which I think would have been a lot more impressive if the only time I saw Apocalypse, I didn't kill him before I drew them. The main thing this did was get pitched off of Garuru X and Gabu X, which, honestly, over the course of a tournament that long, cutting down on how much I had to think, kinda useful, actually. The other interaction, because I obviously can't Digivolve this, so this could have been any of them. The fact that it looks like Gabumon is irrelevant, but the interaction that I picked Psychemon for instead of Chikuri or Solar was this one. You could totally proto-form this into Garuru X. It still costs 1, it's fine. It's not gonna happen often, but it's gonna happen sometimes. And by that, I mean it didn't happen all day, because I just found enough Gabus that I never had to play Psychemon out of desperation. Thank you for watching.